Awesome. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so stinking excited for tonight's Wednesday Zoom because we have an amazing, amazing special guest on that I have followed her journey for such a long time. And I know so many of you guys know who Morgan Martin is as well. But she's a presidential diamond, soon to be ambassador. Like, I feel it is coming. But she is just so amazing. So I'm excited to hear your journey for you guys to hear her story because I feel like a lot of the times we hear the stories where people start really quick, they promote really quick, they like things happen, and it's really easy in those situations to fall into the comparison game, like what's wrong with me. So I love stories like Morgan that it took her a while to promote, and I'm really excited for you to just share all of that. And then then we'll go into some other questions and stuff that I have for you. But Morgan, oh my gosh, thank you so much for taking the time to hop onto our Zoom tonight, and you guys are about to be blown away because she's amazing.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel honored, and she kind of hyped me up a little bit. I don't think I'm that cool, but thank you. And like she said, I'm Morgan Martin. I joined this business back in 2014, so it'll be 5 years in October. So that's pretty crazy. So I joined whenever I was 20 years old. I was a broke college student. I didn't have any money. I was putting gas and groceries on credit cards. I was working 65 hours a week. And I just was very busy. I had just moved up to Michigan where I live now, but I was originally from Mississippi. And so I was in a new town. I didn't know anyone. I had just started school the month that I joined the business. And so I didn't even have any friends yet. And one of my jobs was as a nanny, so I didn't even have coworkers. So whenever I say I didn't have friends and I didn't know anyone, I really do mean that. So it was really hard for me though, because I didn't have time to make new friends because of how much I worked. I also didn't have money to go out with people because I didn't have, the income to be able to do that, to meet new friends. So I just felt really stuck, and I just felt like lost and kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And so I joined the business after trying the products first. I joined as a customer first in May of that year. And just because I didn't know I could do the business, I think had I known that, I would have thought about it at first, but that was never really like offered to me. I thought that this girl honestly was making products out of her kitchen, but I don't know why that didn't sketch me out. I was like, yes, I will take some. Sounds good. So bought the products. I was like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what network marketing was. My mom had actually done a company, but I literally never had heard the term network marketing or MLM or anything before. So I joined this business, jumped in head first pretty much, and or 2 feet first, whatever the saying is. I jumped all the way in. I was so pumped up. I didn't know what I was doing. Got amazing results with the product. So I just was hyped. Like, I didn't know what I even wanted out of the business. I just remember joining the business thinking if I can get one customer, I won't have failed. And I had no high expectations for myself whatsoever, but I just was excited. And I just started telling everybody about what I was doing. And so through that, I promoted to executive in 2 months. So that was like the end of December. And guys, I didn't even know what executive meant. I literally got a call from the girl that I was placed under. And she was like, you're one order away from executive. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is executive? And she was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I just was working my steps to success, guys. I didn't know anything. And that was one of my greatest strengths whenever I was starting out with this, because I didn't look left. I didn't look right. I didn't compare myself. And so I just was excited. I was sharing this with everyone. So went executive. 2 months after that, I went Ruby. I sat at Ruby for a year. And in that year, I almost quit because I started comparing myself. I started looking left and looking right and seeing people that had joined before me or at the same time as me or even after me start hitting the rank of diamond. And that's really where I wanted to be. And I started thinking, is this maybe not for me? Like, is this as far as I'm going to go? Is just Ruby? And what I have lost sight of, though, is that I joined this business for $100 a month, and I was making $500 a month. And instead of being thankful for what I had, I started comparing and thinking that I just deserved more. When in reality, I was working really hard, but I wasn't I wasn't running with the right people. I was looking at the people that weren't working and spent all my time trying to pull them along and make them work and make them want this business when there's no way you can do that. And the ones that did want this, I didn't give them my time. I didn't pour into them. I didn't give them my attention. I just kind of left them because I was like, you know what, you got this. So I'm going to go over here and try to make them want this so we can all want this at the same time, because that's what I need to be able to get to where I want to go. And it was a very self-centered mindset. I didn't know anything about leadership, totally did everything wrong, but that's okay because now I know what not to do, and I can teach my team to do that so they can get where I am faster. But a lot of growing happened at Ruby. I almost quit. Didn't because I won, or not won, but earned a spot on our cruise the very first year as Mexico. None of y'all probably were even in the business back then, maybe a couple of you. But we went on the cruise, and I went into that cruise ready to quit and came out ready to run, and just had this like inspired new vision for the company I never had before, just by surrounding myself with people. So if you're going to Green Carpet, look forward to that. If you're not, get there next time, or go down there and just with the live stream ticket. A lot of my team's doing that, just to be around the people. But anyway, came back. I was still working 9 a.m. to midnight, 6 days a week, and still going to school. And I ended up promoting from Ruby to Emerald and Emerald to Diamond in the same day. And then earned a $22,000 bonus and quit both of my jobs. And I haven't clocked into a job since March of 2016. So it was pretty crazy that month. And a lot of people are like, well, of course you're like successful because you have all this extra time. But you know, what I want to remind you is that this time was earned. Like, I didn't start out having the freedom of time that I do now. And so it's not because of my freedom that I work really hard. It's because I work hard that I have the freedom. And so don't get it twisted. A lot of times we look at people like, oh, I wish I was where they were, but don't wish for it, work for it, because they did, and they worked hard and they got where they are because they put in the work, even though it didn't make sense, even though they didn't have the time. So after going Diamond, I sat there for a year. Exactly, like the same exact month, the next year I promoted to double, and that was again after getting to an event, and it was conference for the first time. And I got so excited, I got so pumped up whenever Mark told me that I could do whatever I wanted to do. And he was telling me and everybody else was in the arena, but he might as well have just been speaking to me. He said, you can do this. Like, and I had this renewed vision of, you know, and belief in myself. Like, I kind of hit Diamond and just stopped myself. Like, I started putting a glass ceiling over my head saying, this is as far as I'm going to go. Like, this is as much as there is out, you know, in this business for me. And I immediately put limits on myself. And so I really started to believe the lies I was telling myself. And so I didn't go double for so long because I just didn't believe that it could happen. And then after conference, I did. And I ran with the people that were running on my team, both of them, both of the two people that were running on my team at the time. And I just, we worked really, really hard and we hit double. And at the time, my now husband, then boyfriend, I got him to Diamond. And so we earned lots of bonuses. But I do want to talk about this part really quick because at conference, it was my very first one, 2017. I was at conference and I was up in the, was it 2017? Yes. So 2017 was my first conference. So I was up in the third row. If you've ever been to the Amalie Arena, you know that the third level is actually like 6 because it's so high up. Like, you literally are so high up there. So we were up there, and it was me and my 2 girls that were with me at conference, one on each side of me, and we were the third level, could barely see anything. But they did the top 100 walk. And I remember being there and thinking, oh my gosh, like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be in the top 100 walk. And somebody that I kind of knew, I like to think that I knew her and that we were friends back then too, Courtney Labby, she was in that walk. And I was like, if she can do that, then I can do that. And so I started to get this like vision of like where I wanted to go. And I didn't have that before I hit Diamond and stopped dreaming, and conference allowed me to dream again. And I also looked at people on stage and I was like, dude, I want to be on that white couch. I want to be standing up there and speaking on stage. And I said that I wanted to be in the top 150, I think, by the next conference, and that I just wanted to speak on stage. I didn't give that one a time frame. So fast forward to May of that year, I was sick of sitting at ranks for a year at a time, and I was like, dude, we're going triple. Let's do this. We got a game plan together. I ran with the Rubies, not the Emeralds, because the Emeralds weren't working as hard, but the Rubies were. I said, it's going to take us longer, but we can do this. And it actually was so much faster because I wasn't doing it all myself. If y'all feel that, give me an amen, because so many times we're like, just for the sake of not erasing people off of our charts, we're like, I'm just going to get this person there, and it's going to be so great, and it's going to be so quick and so fast. And it's so hard to build yourself when you're going up to higher ranks like that. You can't do it all alone. And it's going to be really unsustainable whenever you're trying to do things like triple and presidential and ambassador. So we went triple, and my now husband went double. So we had earned $105,000 in bonuses between the time that whenever conference ended and the end of May. And so our check went from like $2,000 to $20,000 within like 7 months. Everything just changed for us. And it was only because I got that belief and I got that vision. And so what's crazy, why I told you the part about conference, at Green Carpet in June, I was asked to speak on stage on the white couch. And so the things that I said that I wanted at conference came true not only then, but like not only the next year, but like 4 months later. And so February, I said I wanted to do it. June, it happened. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I spoke about the bonuses that I got. So it was really cool. It was an amazing experience. And then fast forward to the next conference. So I was still triple. And this was last conference. And I was like, not the past one in 2019, but 2018. I was announced as number 149 income earner. And I said the last conference, sitting up at the third level with 2 people next to me, said that I wanted to be in the top 150, and I was the very next year. And as a triple diamond instead of a diamond, and as a diamond at conference, I was with like 11 people packed in this hotel room because I was so broken, could not afford to even go to conference. And the next year, whenever I was top 150 and triple diamond, we had 3 houses because our teams could not fit in just 1 house or 2 houses. We had 3 houses packed to the brim of all my team that was there. And it was just such a huge drastic change because I decided to activate my belief. Like, it was so insane what can happen when you start to believe in yourself. And so then last year in October, we promoted to presidential. And that was a cool promotion too, because, you know, every promotion I've learned a lot. And this is kind of like my longer version of my story, but I kind of wanted to like teach a little bit in between. But there's so many things you can learn in this, like just between each level. And for me at Triple Diamond, I realized that there's a difference between being stuck and sitting. Because you can sit at a certain rank for a while, because I sat at Triple Diamond from the end of May 2017, and then I finally hit presidential in October 2018. And so that was over a year. I mean, it was quite some time, but I never felt stuck. And that's the mindset, because I sat there for a while, but I never felt stuck. I had new diamonds popping. I had promotions in my team. I had growth in my leadership. There were so many things that were happening in my team that didn't reflect my rank. Like, even though my rank stayed the same, my mindset did not. And that's the difference between being stuck and being, you know, just sitting there. And so that's something that I want to encourage y'all with too, is like, I'm stuck at a certain rank. Well, are you stuck, or are you just sitting there? Because if you're stuck, then unstuck yourself. Like, get unstuck. You can do that. It's a choice that you make, and it just all starts with your mindset. But so yeah, we went presidential in October, and because of this business, we have been able to pay off $125,000 in debt. We've been able to buy our dream home. We actually move in 16 days, so super exciting. And I'm like downplaying how excited I am, just because it's kind of like, I'm like freaking out. I'm so pumped. That's why I have all these boxes behind me. Yeah, and I paid cash for school. I brought my husband home. Now he gets to do his absolute dream job that he never would be able to do without this business and the income that we make. We're able to give more in a month than we used to make in a month, and we're able to give more, live more, and save more. We have a savings account now, and it's just absolutely crazy, and this business has changed our whole entire life. So that's our story.
Dang, Morgan, like that is just so amazing. And her house, you guys, like just go freaking peek at her Instagram or Facebook. Like the house that they are building is just so freaking gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So a couple questions I wanted to go over. I love that you touched on, you know, that analogy that you made in like the leadership group about the sprinkler. Can you touch on that real quick? And just like, because I know in this business it's so easy to look left. It's so easy to look right. It's so easy to compare yourself. It's so easy to, once you get people on your team, you want to like pour into them and you want them to have the same vision as you, but sometimes they just don't. So can you touch, like that sprinkler analogy that you did was just so rad.
Yeah. So did they know what you're talking about with the sprinkler thing? Like, have you shared it at all?
I shared it in my page, but just, yeah, kind of go over it.
Yeah, so as long as y'all know, like, kind of the basis of, like, what she's talking about. So, yeah, so I saw this sprinkler outside of my apartment, and it was, like, watering the concrete, so that's cool. And I was like, that's so crazy, because immediately I was like, dude, that happens to us in this business. Like, we do that all the time, and we focus our attention on the people on our team that don't really want this, and you can't water concrete and make it grow. But if you turned your focus to the grass, you would water that same grass, same output. You're watering it either way at the same speed and the same force, but if you're facing this way, it's not going to grow, and there's nothing you can do to make it grow. But if you're facing it this way, then you're going to be able to make that grass grow. But if you're facing the way of the concrete, that grass behind you that's just thirsty and hungry and just ready for that water that you have, which is the business, it's the opportunity, it's the hope that you have. Maybe it's the products, maybe it's potentials that are out there, maybe it's people on Instagram and Facebook, I don't know. Whatever your grass is, it's getting brown behind you while you're so focused on the concrete that's in front of you and wanting it so badly that there's nothing you can do to make that concrete grow, right? And so, there's, as far as like the business and growing your business and kind of building your team, I kind of touched on this already, but I had an aha moment actually on our team Zoom on Monday, like as I was speaking. It's so cool how God does that sometimes. Like he just like puts this like word in your heart and you start speaking and you're like, that was really cool. I don't know where that came from. It came out of my mouth, but it totally wasn't from me. And I had one of those moments, and what it was talking about like people on your team that you want this so badly for them that you put all your attention into them, you put all your time into them, and you start placing people under them. And you're like, oh my gosh, like this girl's going to be so good. And you get a diamond chart out for this girl. And you're like, oh my gosh, she is going to be amazing. And she's not showing you any special effort other than what somebody else has shown you, right? Okay, so she's giving like moderate effort, but you love her page. Her posts are amazing. She has all this potential. And you're like, she's going to be so, so good at this. And you start getting a diamond chart out. You start placing people under her. You're like, I'm going double. You're claiming it. And you're doing all these things. And this person who never, ever showed you any type of leadership characteristics, you've given them a whole entire team, and then you get salty when they walk away. Why? Because you thought that they were going to be a diamond. You thought they had all this potential. But what I challenge y'all to do is not to look at the potential that they have, not just the potential that they have, but also where they're at right now. If they're not replying to your messages, it doesn't matter how much skill that they have. It doesn't matter how much, how good they could be at this business. If they're not replying back to you, if they're not truly showing leadership qualities, and that could look different for everybody, but things like that would be, showing initiative, like taking initiative and doing all the wrong things, but they're just taking action. That's leadership. It's not doing all the right things. It's just doing something. Craig Groeschel always says, I'd rather make aggressive mistakes than passive ones. I'd rather make aggressive mistakes by taking action and doing something than passive ones by sitting back and overthinking. And so if you see that in someone, like they're doing stuff and you're like, whoa, 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 let me help you post. Like that's a leader, because you have to like kind of rein them back in, like they're wanting to go. If they're doing that, then yes, pour your attention into them, pour your time into them. And if they're not doing that, obviously you're still going to be there to help them, but you can't have this unrealistic expectation of someone and put this leadership role on them that they are not ready for, because either number one, they're going to leave, or number two, they'll stay, but they'll crumble underneath the weight of a promotion they were never ready for and never really worked for to begin with, because you placed everything underneath them yourself. It's happened to me so many times. It happens to people on my team all the time, and then they get salty and they're like, well, so-and-so walked away, and then you start questioning everything. Well, my team's falling apart. No, you had a leader that was never a leader who left, but you have placed everyone underneath them. So now you have 12 people and you don't know what to do with them. And that has happened to all of us. And so it was a really big aha moment for me while I was talking, because sometimes we water the wrong grass. Like we water the wrong thing. And we're obviously going to be there for every single person on our team, but I challenge y'all to look for leadership qualities and that they possess right now. And obviously look at the potential of somebody, but they have to be showing you initiative right now as well as the potential. And I would much rather pour my like leadership and just like pour everything I've got into somebody who has the heart, but not the skill. Because I can teach the skill. I can teach you how to post. I can teach you how to enroll. I can teach you how to do, filters, but I cannot teach you how to want this business. I cannot teach you how to want to change your life. And if somebody has the skill, but does not have the heart, it's going to be so much harder for you to get through to them. So look for somebody with the heart. So often we're like, well, she has great posts. She has awesome filters. That is not a sign of leadership. It could be. They could be an amazing leader with those things, but that does not make a leader. Does that make sense? Does that help a little bit? Is that kind of what you wanted me to talk about?
Yeah, that was so good. That's so good, because I think it is so easy to fall into that trap of like wanting somebody's promotion more than they actually do. So what kind of advice would you give? Say there's somebody, that is they're shooting for Ruby, because I know there's a lot of people on here that are shooting to hit Ruby here this month. A lot of people are shooting to go, Diamond and stuff, but they're pouring into the same people over and over and over that aren't really showing that much, like you said, the heart, the passion, the drive to want to change their lives. What kind of advice would you give them?
Enroll new people. It's so simple. Like, if you're not enrolling new people, then of course you're going to be working with the same people over and over again. But another aha moment that I've recently had, is in this business. So I've been in for almost 5 years, and I've actually had amazing leadership retention in my organization. So like people will come and go, people will join and then never respond back to me. Like that totally happens. But as far as like leadership, and it may be Diamond and above, but that doesn't qualify as leadership for me. It's like an actual like leader. Maybe it's a Ruby, they stay. And I've had really great retention. But this year I've had a Diamond and a double leave, and they didn't like leave for another company. They just kind of fizzled out, and they have a lot going on and whatever. And I still love them to death. But that happened, and it kind of like rocked me a little bit, because I was like, well, I'm not used to this. Like, what the heck? Did I do something wrong? Was there something more that I could have done? Was there something different that I could have done? And it just started really made me second guess myself. And what I realized in that moment was that happens to even it works as a whole. The people that I looked up to.
Here, sorry.
No, that's okay. I can sit over here.
Do you want to make sure everybody's muted really quick?
It's been a job.
All right, sorry. I have such bad, like, I get distracted really easily, so I was like, wait. Anyways, so, oh crap, what was I saying? Oh yeah, okay, so anyways, the people that I looked up to whenever I joined the business, some of them aren't even here anymore. They're not even with It Works. But now I look at the new leadership. Like, y'all post in the chat, who are some people that you look at as leaders? Like, I'm thinking Jade Hooper. She was a leader whenever I was coming in, and she's still here. Obviously, Steph and Joel Dunn. But I think about people like, Carrie Young, she was a leader too. But I think about people like Ashley Mayfield. She joined after I did, which is so crazy because she's freaking like, Emerald 2.0. Brittany Hayes, she's Diamond 2.0, joined after me. She's not somebody that I looked up to at the beginning because she wasn't even in the business. Cheyenne Knox, it's crazy because the people that you looked up to back then aren't even here anymore. And same thing, there's just always just this turnaround of leaders. And so it's not just you, and it's not just your team. It's literally just part of the game, Like if you go to your favorite restaurant and you have this waitress or waiter that you love, and like this staff that and you go there all the time, you're a regular. You don't go there for 2 years and you come back. Do you think that every single person's going to be there anymore? No, but are their doors closed? No. How? Because they're hiring new people. If they weren't hiring new people and they just had people leave, because that's going to happen. They're going to have people leave. They graduate, they move away, they get busy with other things, they get a different job, they leave. And if they're not hiring new people, Texas Roadhouse is going to close down that specific location because they don't have anybody left. But if they're constantly hiring new people, they're going to have people move up into an assistant manager role that maybe you saw as a hostess 2 years ago. You're going to have people that come in and that you've never even seen them before, and now they're, the district manager. So like there's always that turnover, but you have to keep enrolling. It's so important. Guys, steps to success. It's so simple. Run your auto shipment. sign 4 customers, sign 3 distributors. If you're giving 110%, you should be completing your steps to success every single month. And I want you to be honest with yourself. Whenever you say that you're giving 110%, what does that look like? Are you truly giving it every single thing that you have? Can you look back on last month and say, I have no regrets? Every single day I woke up whenever I was supposed to. I did my 6 list. I made sacrifices for my business and for my family, and I got my steps to success done. And if you can't, then I challenge you to change that right now. And I know that you can do that because other people in this business are doing it, and that's how they're going ambassador and triple diamond and presidential diamond. It's nothing that they're doing that's special. It's just that they're getting new people. So if you feel like you're pouring into the same people over and over again and you're not getting anywhere, maybe it's because you need new people to talk to. You have all this life to pour into people, but you need to be pouring it into the right people. You need to be watering the right thing. So in order to do that, you've got to find new people, because it's not like you're just going to keep talking to the same person and then they're just going to snap out of it. And they're just going to be like, oh yeah, like I want this. And we hope that for everyone. And there are people that have done that before, but it's not always the case. It's not the norm, and you can't wait around for them to do that. You've got to keep enrolling people. And there are so many people out there who want and need this opportunity. It's not hard to find people who want to do this. It's just a matter of you asking them.
I love that so much. So, okay. Oh my gosh, that was so good. So I wanted you to touch on too I mean, I know you had periods in your business too where, everybody wants this business to work for them. Everybody sees like the leader stories and how amazing their life is. But what would you say to those people? Like they see those things, they want those things, but they just don't believe that it's possible for them. What would you say to those people? Because, yeah.
I think that a lot of the things that hold us back is our own like belief that we've grown up with, that's like a subconscious belief. Okay. So if you've never read Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, if her question just described you, read Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, because what it talks about is the subconscious and how you grew up thinking about money and what you equate with success and how you feel about success and why you might be holding yourself back from being successful because of what you grew up thinking. And I'll give you an example of my life to kind of explain, I guess, what I'm saying. So I grew up very middle class. Like, I mean, we had a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, and it wasn't big by any means, but it was fine. And my parents' jobs were fine. And I went to a school that was fine, and everything was just fine. And we never had a lot of extra. We never had fancy vacations. I remember growing up, we never really took vacations. My dad owned his own business as well as he did something, a 9-to-5 too. So I kind of grew up around the business minded things, but my mom, and this isn't to put her down at all, this is just how she grew up too. So this isn't any fault of hers, but it's not something that she's grown from yet either. So she just kind of, we had family friends, and anytime that they'd buy something, she'd be like, oh, well, they're just trying to keep up with the Joneses. And she wasn't ever happy for people who bought things that were nice. And so I started to think nice things equals you're trying to keep up with other people, and that's bad. Like, and then she would say, anytime I would ask for something, she would say, we can't afford that. We can't afford that. Or, oh, I'll have to see if we can afford that. And it was always about affording things and not being able to afford things, and saying no to going out to lunch after, church on Sundays with our friends because we couldn't afford it. So we went home and had sandwiches. And it was just a lot of, we can't afford this. We can't afford that. Can we do this? Can we do that? Oh, they can do this. Oh, wow. And that kind of mentality. And she is such a great woman. So she wasn't like being snooty about it, but it just made me feel like really nice things equals bad. And so then we went to, it was like, I'm trying to think, my 9th grade year of high school. I guess my parents, I don't even know. They just started making a lot of money. I think my dad's like job was doing really well. His business was doing really well. My mom still had her job. And so things were great. They started making $100,000 a year. So 6 figures. And I didn't know that at the time, but my mom told me now. In 1 year, we got 2 new cars. one for me, one for my mom, because I was 16. We got a pool, in-ground pool, like with all of the fixins around it. We also went on a trip to Hawaii with 4 people, and we were just like balling out. And this was in our brand new house that was like 3 times as big as the old house. And so we went from nothing to like all this stuff. And I was like, okay, like this is so cool. We were living large, like we were balling, let's go. And so then by 2012, my parents were divorced and we had filed for bankruptcy. And so we moved from that big house into an apartment. Side note, that's why I'm so excited to move into my house, because I've lived in an apartment since 2012. Okay. So anyway, so y'all just want to get excited with me. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, but it's crazy because I never realized that the impact that had on me until I listened to this book. So whenever I tell you, like, this book changed my life, you have to read it, invest in yourself, put the time into it that it takes, and listen to it on an Audible book. Dude, you can listen to it while you drive to work and back, and you'll be done with it in like 2 weeks. So it's so good. Like, you have to listen to it. So, okay, what it talked about was your subconscious and like your parents, like it could be your parents, it could be your grandparents, and they just, the little things that they said stuck with you and started to teach you about your money blueprint. And it started to tell you how money looks and what money is and how you should approach money and how you should think about money. So what I grew to think was that, number one, money is bad. Money is for greedy people. Whenever people have money and they spend money, it makes them look like they're trying to keep up with the Joneses. And that's so bad. You should never do that. You should never have nice things. And we were, you know, I'm a believer, like I follow Jesus, and my parents grew, you know, took me to church whenever I was growing up. And Southern Baptist Church, we were taught, you know, you should not be rich because, you know, the rich will never inherit the kingdom of God. And that was like a verse, but it was taken out of context. And they would tell us that being rich is bad and that rich people never will go to heaven. And that's not what that verse is saying at all. But, you know, it was talking about like, there was just so many things that made me think money is bad. So I want to be comfortable. That was my word. I don't want to go too far out of the norm. I just want to be comfortable. And so then what happened was I started making money, and my biggest fear was that I would lose it. So I was so scared.
Sorry, I'm trying to find whoever's unmuted right now. If you're not muted,
At the very top.
there we go. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so, sorry, I get super distracted. But so I started to get really, really scared that my money was going to go away. Why did I think that? Because we had a lot and we lost it all. Whenever I was growing up, we had a lot of money. We went on trips. We got cars. We got a pool, and we lost it. And they filed for bankruptcy. And so whenever I started making money, I couldn't even enjoy it because I was like, okay, at what point will this be gone? At what point will I no longer have this to fall back on? And so it almost made me not even want to make the money so that I never had to lose it to begin with. Does anybody understand that? Does anybody feel me on that? Because it's crazy what your subconscious will tell you. And you're like, I never even knew that I thought that way. But listening to that book, I was like, I do think this way. And that's why. Like, it's crazy. So, you know, I've had to retrain my brain to say that I am worthy of this. And God does care about my success. Another good book, if you've already read Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, listen to the book called Success God's Way. It was a really good book for me. It's by Charles Stanley, who was a pastor. And if you know who Andy Stanley is, a lot of y'all might know him. Charles is his dad. So, you know, he talks about God and how he does care about your success, which is something that was just so foreign to me, because it was like, God hates success. God hates whenever people are rich. God looks, you know, down on the proud and all these things. And there's truth to that, but it's taken out of context whenever I was learning it. And it was just crazy to just hear the truth behind how God feels and that he cares about this business. God knows what GV is. He knows what my promotion chart looks like. And he knows the people that are going to fill it. And not only does he know them, but he knows them by name, and he knows everything about them. And he just cares so intimately and intricately about what you're doing in every single aspect of your life. That doesn't exclude this business because you make money from it. He gave us this business as a means to provide for us, which he promised us to do in his word. And then he also provides the people, not just the income, but the people to be in our lives and in this business. And so if you feel like you don't believe that these things can happen, I challenge you to just dig in your self-development, realize, why do you think that this isn't for you? Why do you believe that this can't happen for you? And a lot of times it's our subconscious that's holding us back, and the money blueprint and the beliefs that we have about ourselves. So Cecilia said, what is the book? So the first one I was talking about was Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. The second one was Success God's Way by Charles Stanley. So those are the two that I would recommend. But yeah, so I don't know if there's something that I can tell you to make you believe in this. I think that honestly, you just have to know that there's literally no difference between the people that are doing the things that you want to do and you, except for time and effort. We have the same opportunity. We're in the same business. We click submit on the same page. We're all in the same company. The only difference between them and you is maybe they joined before you, so you just have to give it time and give it that effort in that amount of time that you need to be able to get to where you want to go. But you are so worthy of this, and you should believe in yourself, because God never would bring you to this place and not, like, there's a verse in the Bible too, and I know I'm talking about God a lot, I hope that's okay, but you know, he talks about, like, what's the verse? It's like, I have begun a good work in you, and I will continue it on to the day of completion. So he's not going to take you to this place, and then he's not a God of confusion. He's not going to bring you here and say, okay, go figure it out on your own. Like, hope that you do well. He's going to walk you through this, you know, and God doesn't play favorites. Why would he give you favor and not me, and give, you know, me favor and not Jennifer? Like, he's giving us all this favor and this abundance and this opportunity, but you have to activate it. You have to activate the blessing that he's put in front of you. So I don't know. That was a really long answer, but I hope that helps.
Dude, that was so good. You like totally, I'm so glad that you brought up that book. Secrets of a Millionaire Mind was such a game changer for me. And like, as I heard you talking, and I know so many people like have that same thing. Like, our moms and dads all told us, like, money doesn't grow on trees. We can't afford that. Like, those are sayings that I know I heard all of the time growing up, all of the time. So, you know, I've got to a point in my business where, you know, like, double diamond income was like the amount of income, like, that took me a long time. Like, it took me a really long time to fathom the idea that I could make 6 figures a year. 'Cause to me, that was like something that would never happen for me. That was something for rich people. That was something that just, it would never happen in my lifetime. Something I never could even picture that happening. And that book was just such a game changer. Like, looking back on that period in my business where I felt stuck for such a long time, it was 100% my old program telling me that, like, this is where you stop. This is where people like you don't go further than that. Like, you shouldn't dream bigger than that, because it'll never happen. And oh my gosh, that book, that was one that I listened to on repeat for a really long time, because that was my challenge in my business for a really long time, and still kind of is, to get over that hurdle. So I'm so glad you brought that book up. It's so good. Okay, so I kind of want you to talk a little bit about, like, because I know your schedule was really busy when you started this business, you know, and now obviously you have a lot more time freedom, but talk about when you actually started this business. Because I know a lot of people on here are working full time, they're moms, people are freaking busy. So how did you become so successful with this business and, you know, with a crazy schedule?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And what I love to tell people too, like, I have no job, I don't have kids, and I just have a husband, and somehow my day still gets filled up. So what that tells me is that it's not that you don't have time, like, you're just not telling your time where to go. Because no matter if you're working a job or if you have 18 jobs with 25 children, your day is going to get full, and so will someone else's. So it's just a matter of how you know, manage that time. And so I think the biggest thing, because it starts with your heart, I wanted it so bad, and everything flowed from that. I knew what my why was. I knew that I needed gas money and grocery money, and that's what it started out as. And so I started claiming that on social media and telling people that's what I was going to do. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I just did everything that I knew to do. And back then I did a wrap party. I didn't have time to do a wrap party, but I did one anyway. And so that was kind of my motto. Like, I don't have time to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway, because that's going to pay off for you in the end. But did a wrap party, did social media. We didn't have, by the way, we are very, very blessed right now with social media because we didn't have Instagram stories. We had to post 12 times a day on Instagram to ever be seen. We did not have Facebook Live. We did not have, we didn't have Zooms. We called into our corporate calls on Sundays and they would play music and it was so staticky, like a freaking bank on hold or something. That was what we did. So welcome to the new age. Okay. So anyway, it was a lot of sacrifice. It was a lot of planning ahead. I actually still do this now and it's helped me so much. Like I am so honestly, just relentlessly consistent with what I do in my business. And it's helped me a lot from the very beginning. And so no matter if I have a busy day or not, this helps me stay on track. So one thing I want to do is help you with your mindset with this, because a lot of people say I'm busy, so I can't do this. You're busy, so you're going to be really good at this. How about that? Because the people that are busy know how to get stuff done, because you don't have any other choice but to manage your time. When you have 12 kids that need to all be at soccer practice within 5 minutes of each other and they're on opposite sides of town, you find a way to make it work, right? Same thing with this business. So I don't have kids, so I don't really know how to relate to mom stuff. But for me, I went to school. And I went to school to be a sign language interpreter. So they never talked in class. They were signing the whole time. So I could not have my phone or I would literally not know what they were talking about. So I had to focus on the teacher the entire time. I could not go, do things on my phone and work this business while I was in school. And I was in school from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the days that I had school. The days I didn't, I was nannying. And then I had my second, part-time job at Finish Line. And so I was just so busy and I had 40-minute drive to school. So I would wake up 30 minutes before I needed to get ready for school. And I said, for 30 minutes, I'm going to post, I'm going to message, I'm going to get all my follow-ups done. And I was, just writing people's names down on a paper or whatever I needed to do. So I was working before. On my way to class, I was listening to YouTube videos. I was listening to podcasts or whatever. Podcasts weren't actually really that big of a thing, so it was mostly YouTube videos. But I just was listening to self-development. I was listening to tips on things that I wanted to know how to do. Watch Jade Hooper, watch Carrie Young. I watched all these different people that just would pour into me. And so then as I was walking into class, I was responding to people that I had messaged earlier that day. I got into class, and I think so many times we separate our lives. We compartmentalize. So we're like, okay, now I'm going to go to work. Then I'm going to go to my kids' soccer practice. Then I'm going to go home and I'm going to make dinner. Then I'm going to do It Works. Oh, there's no more time left, so I guess It Works just gets pushed to tomorrow, right? Give me a 1 if you've ever felt like that. And you're just like, crap, I didn't get anything done today because it's just I didn't get that part of my day done. What I want to challenge you with is incorporating it all together, just meshing everything. So when I was at school, I could not have my phone, but there were people in my classroom all around me. So what did I do? I used the products in front of them. We didn't have keto coffee. We didn't have collagen. We didn't have shakes or anything like that, but we had greens. And so I put my berry greens in my shaker, in my water bottle. And I just drank my greens and people were like, what is that? And I would tell them and they were like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want some. At lunch, we would all sit at a table together. I had my fat fighters. I stuck them suckers in front of me at the table. I didn't keep them in my purse. I stuck them in front of me. I was like, I just don't want to forget to take them. Yeah, right. I wanted them to buy them. I wanted them to ask me about it. So they did. And so I would tell them and they were like, oh my gosh, I need this. I was like, yeah, you do, because we're both eating chicken tenders every day. You need these fat fighters. I wrapped people in the back room at Finish Line whenever I was working there because I was adding these people on social media. They were seeing my posts. I was talking about it. We wrapped them in the back room. I took Confianza before every test. I shook it up really loud and was just opening it super obnoxiously. Before one of our tests, we've all passed it around and we were taking Confianza like I was a drug dealer. And guys, my teacher is a distributor on my team. So you don't have to compartmentalize every single part of your life. You can mesh it all together, and don't lose sight of the people that are next to you at your kid's soccer game or, dance class or whatever. So that's kind of what I did. Then I'd go back home. I would send voice texts. You can only do that on Facebook, but I did it on Facebook. So I was like voice messaging people back, and I was posting about my life. I was posting about the business. I hadn't made any money yet, but I was telling people that I was about to make money, and I was excited, and people just wanted whatever I was doing. They wanted that because they were like, she's excited about this. That's the biggest thing. If you want to stand out, be excited, because there are very few people in this world who are excited about what they do, and that alone is going to help you stand out. And so I was excited, and I was talking to people. I was messaging here and there. And then whenever I went and did homework, and I know it seems like a lot of y'all probably aren't in school, but if you're doing homework, or if you're watching your kids or whatever, like I would set timers for, whenever I had like homework and stuff, and I would set 30-minute timer. Whenever that timer was like going, I was working on schoolwork. That's all I was doing. I was focused, intentional time. Then whenever that timer went off for 10 minutes or however long, I would message and I would post, and I would do my at work stuff, and I'd give myself a break, because your brain can't continuously think about the same thing for that long anyway. So scientifically, that's really going to help you with your studies. But I maintained a 4.0 GPA. I ended up quitting my job because of this business. But during the job, I was promoted to assistant manager. So a lot of times people have the misconception that if I'm going to try to do all of this, I'm not going to be able to do any of it well. And that's just not true. It's a story that you're telling yourself. So tell yourself, I'm going to be really good at this. I'm going to crush every single thing that I do. And I'm going to be really good at school. I'm going to be really good at being a mom. I'm going to be really, really good at my job. And I'm going to be an amazing business owner, because you can have it all. So don't tell yourself that you can't, but it just takes thinking ahead. So like plan out your day the night before. This is my planner. And that's Thursday, and today's Wednesday, and I already have it planned out for tomorrow, so I know exactly what my day looks like, so that it doesn't get away from me, because your time is going to go somewhere, but you have to tell it where to go.
I think that is such it's the key factor to having success, because if you just go into a day blindly, things are going to get thrown at you like left and right. Things are going to happen, and if you don't have that time, have not even the time set aside, but exactly what you want to get done. Because a lot of times I'll have a huge list of things that I want to get done for the business, but it's like I'm standing in line at the grocery store. I could do this really quick. I could, you know what I mean? I love the fact that working power hours in this business is amazing, but the nooks and cranny of your day, you can get so much done. And I love how you said not to I can't even say that word, but not to not feel like you have to have this block of time to work your business. And if it doesn't happen at the end of the day, then it just doesn't happen. It's it works as a part of your life, and just making it a part of your life is where you're going to get killer results. And I love that. So the last thing I kind of wanted you to touch on is let's talk about your list for tomorrow. So what does a day working this business in Morgan's life, what exactly do you do every single day? Or let's go with that.
Okay, so obviously now looks different, but I wake up in the morning, and people have this I work from home, so I'm going to wake up with no alarm and work in my pajamas. And that's cool, but that's not what successful people do. And I've realized that in the last 3 months. It's a very new thing that I've learned. And I was like, okay, if I want to be a millionaire, if I want to be a multimillionaire, what are they doing? They're waking up early, they're getting dressed, and they're getting their day started before everybody else. And so I've started waking up at 7 a.m., which is actually really early for me, sometimes 6:30. I wake up, I don't check my phone whenever I first wake up. I think that's very, very important because you want to steer your day. And if you look at something on your phone, that might steer your day positively or negatively, and you want to be the captain of that ship, and you want to decide how you're going to feel about your day. So don't look at your phone. I get up, I do my Miracle Morning. If you've never read that book, you should read Miracle Morning. It's really, really good. But I do my Miracle Morning. I kind of do self-development, journaling, affirmations, all that stuff. And then I do a power hour. And my team and I do them in the mornings, Monday through Wednesday. So I do it with them, and otherwise I do it by myself. And so on that list is post, message, follow up, self-development, talk to my team. And so I'll break each of those down for you too. So basically posting, obviously, kind of you post. So I like to set those up the night before, because like I said, my day sometimes gets away from me. There's so many things that can come into your way, and you may not end up having time to like write a post. So I always write my post out the night before. If I feel super inspired, I'll write a couple, and I've got some for the week, but I always post. And then messaging. If I'm messaging people, I'm usually doing it on Facebook for host to post, or I'm messaging on Instagram for products. So don't message for distributors other than host to post. Not that you shouldn't, but that's just personally not what I do. I just don't get that much response from it whenever I do. So, and then following. So I'm adding new people to my network. I'm adding people on Facebook. I'm adding people on Instagram. I'm growing my network. I'm talking to new people. And then follow up. So I'm talking to people that I talked to before. Whatever your method looks like is totally fine for you, whatever you works best. I do 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. I've been doing that for a long time. So 2 days after I talk to them for the first time, 2 weeks after I talk to them for the first time, and then 2 months. And the way that I keep track of that is this planner right here. I have 2 planners. One of them is just for my day and like what my day looks like. And the other planner is just for a list of names of people that I talk to on that day. So whenever I write down people's names, I'll write that here for Wednesday. And so basically, so tomorrow is Thursday. So I'm going to go back to people that I talked to on Tuesday, and I'm going to message them and just say, you know, hey, are you still interested? If not, that's okay. I can take you off my follow-up list. I don't want to bug you. Or I'll say, hey, what you think? Like just something super simple. Quick note, a lot of times we're like, what is the perfect follow-up response? The perfect follow-up response sounds like you. It's not anything scripted. It's not anything that's very like, I have 1 discount spot left and I'm throwing in a free wrap for anyone who orders today. So I was wondering if you would like for me to place your order on my website. Like it's just very, very casual, very simple, and people will respond better to that. And then, so post, message, follow-up, self-development. I love self-development. Super huge. Usually I will listen to self-development while I get ready. I'll listen to self-development because I do Audible. I'll listen to it while I'm cooking. I'll listen to it just literally any pocket of time that I have. I'll listen to self-development while I'm messaging, while I'm working, while I'm driving in the car. And then talking with my team. That includes new distributors and just checking in them. And then also my leaders and making sure that they know what they're doing and that I'm just casting vision for them.
Oh my gosh, that is so good. I love that. Your day's so simple, and it's like everybody else's day, you guys. Like people are always like, this business is so hard. It's so hard. It's not hard. It's just you have to be consistent in order to start getting results. You can't do all of these amazing things for 2 days and then quit for a week and wonder why you're not getting results. You can't do it for 2 weeks and then take a week off and expect to pick right back off where you started. Like it literally is like, consistency is such a huge part of this business. Can you touch on consistency like really, really quick, and then you can end with like your best tip, whatever you want to feel led to share.
Yeah. Okay. So consistency is huge. Obviously, we've all heard that, but just to kind of give you an idea. So I had this girl on my team, and she went Nisha, but I had this girl on my team, and she wasn't really doing a whole lot very consistently. It was very, very inconsistent. But the days that she worked were like, she was like on it. And so I kind of put it to her this way. I said, I'd much rather you work for 1 hour a day for 30 days than to work for 10 hours a day for the first 3 days of the month and not do anything else because you just burnt yourself out. I would much rather you space it out and do something every single day, because that is going to be better for you in the long run. And this girl, she was like, okay, so like she was on it. She was like so excited. She genuinely is being consistent. And I checked in with her and I was like, how's your vision? How's everything going? Like, do you need a game plan? Are you good? How's everything? And she was like, I'm being consistent, but I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. And I said, if you had been working before, you would right now. But because you're working now, you'll see the results later, but you have to stay consistent with what you're doing now, or you're going to miss it again later. And so your business is about 3 months behind your efforts. So if you're working hard now and you're like, well, I just don't see anything. I just don't see any, results yet. Well, if you quit, then all those seeds that you planted are eventually going to harvest, and you won't be here anymore to harvest them. So then people like me and Jennifer will harvest all of the seeds that you've planted because you were the ones that talked to them and got them interested. And then we come along and we're being fiercely consistent, and you're no longer doing anything. And so you don't want to give up on all the seeds that you've planted, because number one, people are going to be ready now and they're going to be ready later. And you need people now and you need people later. So that's a win. Like I got a couple dates for people in September, and I didn't get, sad. I'm like, oh, I need them to order right now. Like, that's awesome. Like, you want to order in September? Perfect. I'm so excited. Like, because it's about them and it's not about you. So, but being consistent is super important, because if you're not consistent, you're going to miss all the things that you did work hard for. And you're going to constantly be in this state of working really hard for a week and not seeing any results, and then quitting, and then doing it all again, and then quitting, and doing it all again, and then quitting. And that's kind of what this girl is seeing. So I'm just challenging her to be consistent when she doesn't see the results and the benefits yet, so that she can get to the place where she does see them. And then those seasons of reaping or sowing and reaping are going to start to overlap. So I know right now I'm talking to people, I'm signing people that I talked to back in January, and I'm signing people that I'm talking to right now on the spot, but then I'm also getting dates for people in September and October and January of next year. And then I'm going to start reaping those seeds later on for people that I'm talking to right now. So consistency is huge.
Yes, it's so huge. And it's like, you know, I have so many girls in my business that they're just like, when they work so good. So their posts are amazing. They go live all the time. But then again, they like quit for a while. And then when they start back up again, they're like, why am I not getting results again? It's like, you got to start that momentum all back over again now. And you can't complain about it either, because like, it's your business, you know? And I love that you said, I would rather you work like, instead of 3 days, 10 hours, to spread that 30 hours out over an hour a day, because it's consistency. It takes people time to see you post about the products. It takes people time to like see your story evolve and see like you're passionate about the business. And if you're people do these businesses all the time. So what sets you apart? It's your consistency. It's your passion. There's so many people that start this business and quit. I think it was like, I can't remember the statistic, but it was like less than 5% of people make over $500 a month with network marketing. Like, that's crazy, you guys. There's a ton of people that are starting and stopping. So what's going to make you different? It's consistency and like continuously showing up. And that is what makes your business totally explode. So, oh my gosh, Morgan, I know so many people are having aha moments. If you guys had an aha moment, like type it in the chat, like show Morgan some love, because she just took an hour out of her time to just pour into us. And I know I needed to hear so much that she said on here tonight. And I just thank you so much, Morgan. And if there was something that you just wanted to leave everybody with, what would you want to share?
I think the biggest thing that I would want to leave you with, hang on, I remember. So, you know, it's funny because a lot of times we get on these Zooms and we're like, okay, yeah, I know that. Like, okay, yeah, like I got this. Or like you walk away and you're like, okay, that was such a cool Zoom. And then you don't do anything. You don't change anything. And you say, oh yeah, like I know that. Okay, well, you may know it, but are you doing it? There's a difference. There's a difference in knowing it and being a student, but then actually doing it and being an achiever. So are you being a student or are you being an achiever? Do you just know the things to do, or are you actually implementing them in your business? And don't walk away from this Zoom being like, oh, that was so cool. Like such good information, very encouraging, and then change nothing. And I also don't want you to walk away and change everything that you're doing. If what you're doing is working, stick with that. Don't worry about how I'm doing my follow-ups. If your follow-ups are working, but I do challenge you to implement one thing that you learned tonight, starting tomorrow, or starting tonight. Maybe you're going to set up your post for tomorrow, whatever it is, but don't just be a hearer of the things that you're supposed to do, but be a doer of those things. Don't walk away from things like this and just be like, oh, that was very encouraging. Very cool. Awesome. Loved it. Like, make it change your life, you know? That's how we get anywhere, is by taking action and taking massive action. So make sure you're doing self-development. So huge. Somebody did ask too what I consider self-development. And I just kind of want to answer that really fast, because self-development is not a Zoom on YouTube about tips for the business. It's not how to sign distributors. It's not how to sign loyal customers. And people get that twisted a lot, because they think if I go on YouTube and I learn how to message people, I'm going to be better at this business, when yes, that's part of it, But self-development is growing your mind. It's self-development, not strategy development. There's different. They are different. So if 90% of this business is mindset, why do we spend 90% of our time trying to learn how to write the perfect message? That's not what you should be doing. 90% of this business is mindset. So whenever I say self-development, I mean growing yourself. And I also don't mean like your Bible is spiritual development. That's separate. If you want to listen to a sermon, if you want to read your Bible, if you want to do a devotion, do it. By all means, 100% do that. But that is spiritual development. That doesn't count for self-development. That is separate. So then self-development is listening to an Audible book about leadership, something by Craig Rochelle, Grant Cardone, T. Harv Eker, Brendan Bouchard, anything that you hear people talking about. Maybe Jennifer has like a list of books that she loves because we kind of seems like we like a lot of the same stuff. So maybe she has a list of ones that you want to listen to. Get a book, read a book, listen to a podcast. Pam Sauer has a podcast. Ashley Mayfield used to have a podcast. There's just so many ones out there that you can listen to by people who have done what you've done, whether they're in network marketing or growing a business. You want to learn from people that are where you want to be at. So listen to what they do. Hear what they have to say. The book that I'm reading now, if you're just like, I don't even know where to start, I've read all the books you talked about. The Atomic Mindset. If you've never, or I'm sorry, The Atomic. I'm thinking The Atomic Habit. I keep combining those. The Anomaly Mindset. It is so good. It's by, let me see who it's by. It's by a girl. Sandy Krakowski. So it's really, really good. The Anomaly Mindset. And yeah, so anything to grow your mind is self-development. So hopefully that helped. But thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. So much fun.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Morgan. I'm so glad that you touched on that personal development thing, because a lot of times they're like, I'm listening to videos, I'm coming up with strategies, I'm trying all the things that leaders are doing, but the things that leaders are doing is growing their mind. And when you're growing your mindset, you post different, you have more confidence, everything's different when you're doing personal development. And 100% of the times when people come to me and they're like, I'm uninspired, I don't know what to post about, I don't know what to like say to people, they want a script for everything. The more personal development you do, I just feel like the less you need all of that other stuff, because like you just have this passion, drive, and confidence that you just don't need those other things. So I'm so glad you touched on that. So good. Oh my gosh, Morgan, thank you again so much. I'm so happy for you in your new house. Like, I'm so excited for you guys moving in over the next 16 days. And ambassadors coming your way. I'm so pumped to help you celebrate that too. So thanks so much, girl. And I hope you guys all have an amazing night. Go show Morgan some love on her page, because that was just so incredible. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday. Good night, you guys.